very typical problem of what you might see. You're going to be given the length of one side of two figures. Here we have pentagons. You're being told the area of one of the figures, and what you're being asked is to find the area of the other figure. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is set up our ratio of the area. So before we can set up the before we even want to go to the ratio of the area, we should set up the ratio of the sides. Yes, Riley? Thank you. So what is the ratio of the sides of these two pentagons? 4 over 10. All right, so the ratio of the sides is 4 over 10. And I can simplify that to 2 over 5. So that is the ratio of the sides. Now, the next thing for me to do is to find the ratio of the area. Well, we just talked about how we find the ratio of the area. A squared over b squared. So we have a squared over b squared. That means we have 2 squared over 5 squared, which means we have 4 over 25. Okay. Yes. Leave it like what? How would you like? What do you mean? Tell me what you'd like to do. 25 doesn't divide equally by 2. If you can, if you want to simplify it, you can. You don't need to, and I'm going to show you why. Now you can't simplify 4 over 25. But even if you could, you don't necessarily have to. Because the next step is to set up a proportion. Okay? Now, our proportion is going to be little over big. So we're going to take the ratio of the area, which is 4 over 25, and that's going to be equal to, where should I put the 27.5? On the top or at the bottom? Why do you think bottom? And why do you think top, Alan? Exactly. Remember, these are in the ratio of little to big. So everything related to the little pentagon is going to be on top, and everything related to the big pentagon is going to be on the bottom. So here I have little over big. So the area of the little pentagon is 27.5. I want to know what the area of the big pentagon is, so I can call it X. The book happens to call it A. And now I have a proportion. How do I solve a proportion? You cross multiply. So I have 4 times X is equal to 25 times 27.5. So 27 times, 27.5 times 25 is equal to 687.5. So I get that 4x equals 687.5. 4x equals 687.5. And then to find my answer, I divide by 4. I get 171.875. The answer is, the book rounds this to the nearest whole number. So we're going to divide by 4. Divide by 4. The get that x is equal to about 172 square centimeters. Yes. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Yes. It's the only way you're going to be able to create the area ratio. Any other questions? Gentlemen, you have any questions? Okay, we have, so this is using area ratios. We have one more thing to cover today, and that is finding perimeter ratio. Yep. Actually, probably, it's the freshest, you probably do best on it. Just make sure you look at the homework problem. Okay, so, gentlemen. Okay, so now we want to know, A, what's the scale factor, and B, the ratio of the perimeter. So 1, we want to know scale factor, and 2, ratio of the perimeter. All right. So actually what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards. So in the first problem, we worked forwards to get the area. Now we're starting with the area, and we're going to work backwards to get the perimeter. So we start off with the ratio of the areas. So the ratio of the area, step 1, ratio of the areas. Again, we're going to do little over big. So it's 50 over 98. Okay, take the ratio of the little triangle and you put it over the ratio, take the area of the little and put it over the area of the big. Now, generally speaking, in terms of A and B, what do these two numbers represent?
A squared, B squared.
This one represents A squared and this one represents B squared. Very good. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to simplify. What can I divide both 50 and 98 by?
2.
2. So 50 divided by 2 is 25. 98 divided by 2 is 49. Step number 2. No. To simplify. Now, when we went from perimeter to area, what did we do? What did we do with that A and that B to get to area? No. We squared it. So if I want to go from area to perimeter, not divide, take the square root. So step number 3 is take the square root. So the square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of 49 is 7, and that's going to be equal to A over B.
Equals C.
So this is the ratio of the perimeter.
Sure is. Yeah. 5 over 7.
It is also the scale factor. although you can write the scale factor either as a fraction or as a ratio like that. In other words, whatever length, if this is 5, and this is 7, and this smaller triangle is 5/7 the size of the big triangle. That's what we mean by scale factor. That the smaller one is 5/7 the size of the big one. So if I told you that this was 70 feet tall, the side of this was 70 feet tall, then the side of this triangle would be 5/7 of that, or 50 feet.
Oh,
Okay,
What if you can't take the square root of something?
you will be able to. You're not going to have problems that are going to give you weird answers. Yes, sir. To be honest, I haven't